Right, first job is pull the cover off and give it a visual inspection. See if there's any chunks of metal in there. I don't know if there will be, but we'll find out in a minute. No chunks in here. There's a little bit of glitter in the fluid, but what I did notice is here, I'm going to get that to focus where I want it to. The edge of the crown wheel is rounded off. So I thought I had the engagement nice, but I think I didn't tighten the pinion preload enough, and I think it's actually moving like this, in and out, and it's changing the contact patch. So it's noisy on coast, but it's not noisy under power, but I imagine that's running on the edge of the gears there, so I don't know if that's a big problem or not. Probably just set it correctly again and hope for the best, but still something wrong with the center. I don't know if you can see, but if I turn one of the wheels, there's lots of free play in the spider gears, and it only turns one way, it doesn't really turn the other way, so something's still not right in there. Okay, I got the LSD apart. It was a bit of a struggle. These bolts, I broke several tools trying to get those bolts out. Had to apply a lot of heat, but succeeded. If I understand correctly how this works, this piece here is a cone shaped, so it's on a taper, and it pushes up, and then it wedges into an equivalent taper in the housing, and that's what provides the limited slip. But looking at, you can't really see the taper. I'll try and get a, you can see it's pretty munted in there. You can't really tell it's a taper, but I can sort of see it there. Okay, it's a taper into the housing. If it's wearing here, you can see it's got some score marks on top, which are the same as the score marks on the lid. Then my understanding is it wouldn't be able to actually seat the taper because it's bottoming out on the actual housing itself, or the lid itself, before it can actually seat the taper. Geez, it'd be nice if it focused where I'm looking. Right. So if it's hitting there, then it's not seating the taper, which means it's not going to function as an LSD. So that could only mean that it's actually worn out. It's either worn the actual cone itself. Jesus Christ, so there we go. It's either worn the cone itself, or it's worn the housing to a point where it's not gonna seat, so it's not gonna grip. I could probably machine down the top of it to give it a bit more depth, but I don't know what the effects of doing that would be. So I've just ordered a Truetrac, an Eaton Truetrac instead. I like the design of the Eaton Truetrac more. I don't know if it's going to be stronger than this, but I'm not making that much power. I think it'll be okay, and yeah, I'd feel a bit more confident than trying to either repair or replace this style of LSD. So yeah, that's munted. I've just zip tied this on here to sort of demonstrate what I intend to do. So I need to make a rectangular plate that encapsulates these 4 bolts. That's the gist of it. I'll need to do some trickery with the back to work out what kind of bolts that I need. I've just put the original swaybar bolt in here. It's probably not going to be good enough. I need to think about something different for the front, because that's not going to work, and obviously the same on the other side. So I'll take some measurements of that, and then I'll start cutting some plate. Might have overdone it. The only thing I had was a bit of Biz 80 8mm plate, so that's what I've done. Probably not going to focus. No. Oh well, you can just guess. I've just trimmed 1 bolt, just to sort of look like how it'll go. Taking about half off the head. I don't really want to go anymore. Take a touch more off just to get that one in, and then obviously I've got to trim the long ones down to length, but yeah, that's how it'll look. And this is the finished product. Chopped all the bolts down. Gave the second sway bar coat of paint as well. It's all a little bit wet still. I just painted over the nuts so they'll be the same colour. But and the other thing I did was I welded the bottom bolt. I just shaved that head down and I just tigged it in place. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's close here. I don't think it'll be a problem. I think they'll move together. So kind of just they torsionally sort of rotate as the arms sort of do that. It fights the other side, so it sort of twists the bar like this. So I don't think it'll be a problem, but that's the job done. I think it looks pretty good. Happy with that. So now I can move back to this when my new LSD arrives. Finally, the good people at Ozpost have brought me an offering. Let's unbox it and have a look. Well, looks new. Looks like the right thing. I'll just make sure it's the right spline count and make sure all the pieces are included, but looking alright. Well, that looks promising. Fits on there, so 31 spline. Pretty good. And here it is next to the recently deceased Auburn LSD. I've just loosely screwed that cover back on. It's dead either way. I'll put new bearings on this one. Yeah, you see the difference in the design, but it looks like it's the right size, so sweet. And the rest of the items in the box: 2 axle spacers, retaining pin, and a circlip. So the diagram only shows 1 axle spacer, so I'm imagining that's because they're slightly different sizes, which they are. One's slightly longer than the other, which is probably to compensate for slightly different variations in axle length. Bit of a diagram on how it works. Once you've pushed the axles all the way into the housing, once they go all the way in, you can actually get the C-clip on the end of the axle, and then they'll pull back out again, and then you can put the spacer in there to keep them from exposing the C-clip again. So that effectively locks them in place, and then that locks those in place, and happy days. So yeah, it's a pretty good design. Yeah, snipping them up. Nearly there. Pulling all the threads out. It's going well. What do you reckon? Just right?
Yeah, it's egg-shaped.
Love it. What's happening is all these cheap bolts I got from Bunnings, the threads are just getting ripped off the bolts and they're going to be in the ringy now, so it'll be fun later. Oh, muscles, look at this. Don't even need the press. How we doing?
Yeah, I think it's all marred up.
Perfect. Won't spin.
But you only do 1/4 mile at a time.
That's right. I don't even make much power. Yeah, it's hydraulic, man. You don't need to go fucking nuts, yeah? Smells good. Oh, fuck yeah. Metal filings in my fingers. Good. Oh, look at that boy. That used to be the LSD.
Right there. Let me focus. There we go. Yep.
Good. Come on, baby. Yep. Fuck yeah. Stripped. Oh, good. Don't worry. Wait for that cap to explode.
So I got the new torsion in there. I'm guessing that the backlash is probably about, I don't know, 12 thou by my hands. They're like dial indicators. but just putting the paste in there to check the contact patch. So we haven't, basically just going to do an initial sort of contact patch check to see if the carrier needs to be moved over. But usually these are pretty good. These are 8.8s. Like that point to over here is pretty much spot on, even with the aftermarket carriers. So there shouldn't be any change here for the pinion, I mean the crown wheel side to side. The pinion bearing with all the trans brake launchers, you could actually push it up and down like that. That's been retightened, it's really loose. So yeah, progress.
So because of my previous carelessness and damaging one of my very expensive slicks and having to do this at the side of the track with a shifter, I want to just tidy this up a little bit. So what I'm thinking is I think I'll just cut pretty much diagonally straight through here, take that whole section off, and then just tidy it up with a flat wheel. But also the back, I think we'll do a similar thing too, because the tyre is past this corner, and it doesn't serve any purpose. It's just to stop stuff getting flicked up under the car. So I'm not going to take a lot off, but it's a single panel from here. You can feel it behind, and it sort of goes down on that angle. So what I'm thinking is I'll just sort of cut sort of like that, just to take that sweeping corner off it. It's also a pain in the ass because whenever I get under the car to work on like the exhaust, that corner always finds the middle of my forehead. So it'd be much better if that wasn't there. So I'm just going to zip that off. That's the finished product. Just a little haircut. That's enough. There's already a dent here, so it's hard to get that line straight. I can't pop that out because it's all welded together, but good enough. It's not sharp, or not any sharper than any other panel under here, so yeah, I don't think that'll be too noticeable once the wheel's on it. Done the other side too. I think it turned out pretty symmetrical. Can't really focus where I need to, but yeah, it'll certainly do the job. Okay. Back under here again. I've just done about 500 Ks with the new Truetrac center installed. It's all been going fine, but I want to just change the fluid because there was a bit of crap in the bottom of the diff housing from the last failure. So roughly 500 K should be enough to flush that out. I'll just do a diff fluid change and bolt it all back together. Simple as that. Won't be able to see it, but I've left one of the top bolts in just so when I crack the sealant it doesn't just completely fall off and make a huge mess. It makes it a little bit more controllable. So well, it looks brand new. That's what I want to see. Nothing. Right, you see that? Digging into this little, it's like a little sump on the bottom of the diff where any metal particles are supposed to sort of remain, and there's nothing in there. I really fish around, I get a little bit of grit on my fingers, but that could be from the previous failure, which is why I'm doing this in the first place. So I think that's in good health. Right, that's going to do it for this episode. I haven't done everything I set out to do, and the reason for that is I've entered the car in Weekend at Wilby, which is a 3-day drag and drive event hosted by the Haul Ass Garage crew. So that's on from the 16th to the 19th of May, which is a few days from now. So that's all I can get done. So next video will be from that event. Thanks very much for watching and hope you enjoyed.